She hasn't replied in 2 days, but her last smile still lingers in your memory. You felt something real, so why does her silence now feel like a goodbye? What if I told you this silence isn't rejection, but revelation? You're sitting alone. The last message she sent, 2 days ago. Nothing since. You stare at your phone, replaying the last moment you saw her, how she smiled a little longer, leaned in a little closer, you felt it. You knew she cared. So why? Silence? Your mind rushes to panic. She's losing interest, but deep down, your gut screams something else. What if this isn't her fading away, but her watching more closely? What if her distance isn't punishment, but a message? What if this exact moment, your next move, determines whether her attraction fades or deepens into something unshakable? Comment below with one truth: I rise, not chase. Let that phrase anchor your mindset for the rest of this journey. This video is for every man who's asked, why is she ignoring me if she said she cared? You're about to uncover why women sometimes pull away when they love you most, and exactly what to do about it. Not for games, not to manipulate, but to master presence, purpose, and power. And if this message hits deep, support this channel, not for me, but for the next man sitting in the same silence, wondering if the love he felt was real or just imagined. Number one, she feels you, even in silence. While you're overthinking her lack of response, replaying every word, every moment like a broken reel, she's not just gone quiet. She's watching. She's feeling. You assume she's lost interest. You fear the worst. But what you don't see is that her silence is louder than any message she could ever send. A woman doesn't disconnect for no reason. She feels everything. She senses when your confidence dips, when your energy shifts, when insecurity starts whispering beneath your words. And the moment she feels you leaning too hard, when you begin needing her attention just to feel worthy, she instinctively pulls back. Not to hurt you, not to manipulate you, but to see you. This is the moment most men crumble. They panic. They chase. They send another message, call again, post for attention, letting fear steer the wheel. But here's the raw truth. Every time you act from fear, you prove to her that the strength she once admired wasn't real. She's not ignoring you because she hates you. She's testing whether the man she believed in still exists. She wants to know, will you collapse when she pulls away? Will your center remain grounded even when her energy disappears? This silence, it's not absence. It's the battlefield of attraction. And the man who wins isn't the one who fights harder for her attention. It's the one who doesn't need it. She feels when you're unshaken. She feels when your peace isn't dependent on her affection. And more than anything, she feels when you're trying too hard to keep her close because you're terrified of losing her. Attraction isn't born in comfort. It's born in tension, in uncertainty, in tests like this. So what do you do when she pulls away? You stop chasing. You stop asking why. You stop reliving the past in your head. Instead, you build. You focus. You rise. Hit the gym. Clean up your schedule. Master your time. Pour your energy into your mission. Because women don't follow your words. They follow your gravitational pull. The quieter you become, the louder your presence speaks. When she withdraws, let her. When she ignores, hold the line. When she withholds validation, validate yourself. Because the moment she sees that your peace doesn't waver in her absence, her curiosity ignites like wildfire. It's nature. What walks away becomes desirable. What clings becomes repelling. Every time you stay still while she drifts, you become the man she thought you were in the beginning. The man with purpose beyond her. The man with calm in chaos. The man who didn't need her love to love himself. So, how do you pass this test? It starts with presence. Kill the urge to text. Replace it with movement, with momentum, with mastery. Go so deep into your own life that her absence feels like silence, not like loss. Don't show her through messages. Show her through your energy. And in the next chapter, we'll dive deeper into what true emotional control looks like and how mastering it makes you unstoppable. In the last chapter, we uncovered the truth. Her silence is not a rejection. It's a radar. She's not disappearing. She's observing. And now every move you make becomes a signal. Every action tells her who you truly are. This is your moment to embody indifference, not as a mask, but as a message. The kind of man who attracts, not chases. The man who doesn't panic, but pivots, who doesn't beg, but builds. Because while she's pulling back, watching in silence, what she's really doing is waiting for proof. Proof that you're unshakable. Not just confident when things are going well, but grounded when things get quiet. Speak less. Move with intention. Let your absence echo louder than your neediness ever could. You're not losing her. You're being scanned, measured by her emotional radar. And every subtle move you make right now will either show her that you're like every other man she's known or someone entirely different. Now ask yourself this. Are you the man who needs her response to feel valid? Or are you the man who becomes so focused, so powerful in the face of her silence that she begins to wonder what she lost when she pulled away? Number two, be the wall, not the wind. When she pulls back, when she becomes distant, quiet, unpredictable, it's not cruelty, it's calculation. She's not measuring your effort, she's measuring your gravity, not your words, not how many times you text or call, but your stability, your ability to hold the line when things feel uncertain. The second you slip into reaction mode, panicking, over-messaging, explaining yourself, you start unraveling the very attraction that once drew her in. If she gives you one-word replies and you start texting paragraphs to win her attention, you lose. If she goes distant and you flood her with validation and worry, you lose. If she pushes your boundaries and you backpedal to please her, you lose. Not because she wants to break you, but because she wants to see what you're really made of when she steps away. A man who constantly needs her attention to feel valuable is not a man she can feel safe around. A man who spirals emotionally when she gets quiet is not someone she can trust with her heart. She needs to know, if the storm hits, will your feet still be on the ground? When she spirals, do you stand tall? When she tests you, do you flinch? Being the wall doesn't mean being cold. It means being composed. Not robotic, but rooted. Unshakable, unmoved by temporary emotional chaos. Because women are emotional by nature, not because they're weak, but because they feel deeply, fast, fully, fiercely. But they will never surrender to a man who collapses the moment her emotions shift. So when she says, "I need space," she's not asking for a conversation. She's watching your reaction. Do you beg, or do you respect the space and refocus on your purpose? When she turns cold, do you scramble to prove your worth, or do you stay still, centered, present, unwavering in your truth? The wall isn't built by ignoring her. It's built by not being controlled by her emotional waves. Here's the real test. When her emotional ocean crashes against your peace, do you hold the shoreline, or do you drown in it? Emotional self-control is power. The ability to pause before you respond, to breathe instead of panic, to observe instead of obsess. That's what separates boys from men. That's what makes her feel not just comfortable, but safe at the soul level, the kind of safety that allows her to let go of control and melt into your presence. So what should you do? You stop needing her to manage your emotions. You stop making her the sun around which your world revolves. You stop handing her your power in exchange for a crumb of affection. Instead, you build your mission so solid, so consuming, that her silence becomes background noise. You build your life so rich in meaning that her moods don't shake your foundation. You train your mind so well that you don't react. You respond with clarity and calm. She doesn't want you to be indifferent. She wants you to be inevitable. She wants your presence to speak louder than your pleas. She wants your silence to feel like thunder, not retreat. Because if you become that man, the wall, the anchored one, then no matter how chaotic her storm becomes, she will return. Not because you chased her, not because you proved yourself, but because you showed her, without a single word, that you are the kind of man no storm can move. In a world full of emotional winds and fragile egos, that kind of grounded presence is unforgettable. So ask yourself one final question. Do you react every time she shifts, or are you so deeply anchored that her tests no longer trigger fear, but reveal your strength? Be the wall. She doesn't want to shake you. She wants to see if you can't be shaken. And in the next chapter, we'll explore why her chaos is not a threat, but a call. A call for calm, for steadiness, for the man who can meet her waves with stillness. Let's continue. You've learned to be the wall, not reacting, not crumbling. And now comes the next test. Not just staying solid in the storm, but becoming the calm that transforms it. Your role isn't to fix her, it's to anchor her. When she spirals, when her emotions rise like waves crashing without warning, she doesn't need control. She doesn't need correction. She needs containment. Not the kind that suppresses or silences her, but the kind of steady presence that absorbs the storm without flinching. That's real presence. The kind that doesn't demand an explanation for every mood shift, that doesn't fear her fire, but can stand close to it without burning. If you want her to truly respect you, stop trying to fix her feelings. Stop reacting to every storm she throws. Stop treating every emotional surge like it's a personal attack on your worth. Because the moment she senses that her feelings can shake you, can pull you out of your center, she doesn't just lose trust in you. She loses trust in your ability to hold space for what's real. What she's truly searching for is something stronger than her emotional gravity. And it's not your logic, not your explanations, not your well-worded responses. It's your stillness, your unbothered, unwavering, grounded presence. Most people confuse strength with aggression. But true strength is restraint. It's knowing when not to speak, when not to text, when not to explain yourself just because she pulled back. When she's unraveling emotionally, the weak man tries to argue her out of it. He talks too much, reacts too fast, tries to fix what was never his job to fix. But the strong man, he listens, not to respond, but to observe, not to correct, but to contain. Because he understands it's not about him, it's about her need to feel something solid, something that doesn't shake. Her chaos is a test. Her silence, a test. Even her mood swings are a test. Not because she's playing games, but because she's wondering. If I fall apart, will you collapse too? If I pull back, will you chase like a boy or wait like a man? Your calm isn't just for you. It becomes the emotional ground she walks on. And when that ground shakes, she starts questioning everything. So how do you stay calm? You discipline your reactions. You practice emotional patience like a craft. You shift from needing control to offering clarity. You stop trying to prove that you're worthy and start embodying it. She doesn't need your perfection. She needs your presence. She isn't looking for solutions. She's searching for a steady energy, one that doesn't rise and fall with hers, one that doesn't beg for validation. That kind of energy is rare. In a world where most men chase every emotional trigger, you become unforgettable simply by not reacting. So you want to be rare? Then act rare. Don't chase when she distances. Don't demand when she resists. Don't explode when she does. Breathe. Observe. Breathe. Redirect and take all that every ounce of that anxious fire and pour it back into your growth, into your mission, into your body, into your mind, into your circle, into your purpose. Because the more you return fire with peace, the more she sees your true power. And not just her. You will feel it. You'll feel what it means to be the eye of the storm, not by controlling her, but by mastering yourself. Ask yourself, do you escalate when she breaks down? Do you talk just to fix her feelings? Do you feel like a victim of her emotions? Or do you become the one man she can't shake? Because no matter how chaotic she gets, you remain calm, collected, and deeply centered in who you are. Her chaos isn't your enemy. It's your invitation to rise. And speaking of rising, in the next chapter, we'll explore what it really means to let her go without losing yourself, how to stand tall even when she walks away, and why your silence might be the loudest message she ever hears. You've learned that presence isn't about control. It's about calm. When chaos shows up at your door, you don't flinch. You don't force. You hold steady. And now it's time to learn the quiet strength of letting go. You don't have to close the door. You just have to stop trying to force her to stay inside it. Leave it open. Let her walk if she needs to. Not out of indifference, but out of confidence. Because if what you shared was real, if your presence truly reached her, she will feel it, even in your absence. She might test it, she might run from it, but she won't forget it. Not because of your words, not because of gifts or grand gestures, but because of your absence with dignity. That's the power of a man who doesn't chase. That's the gravity of a man who keeps building. That's the clarity of a man who lets go, not to punish her, but protect his peace. Ask yourself this: are you living in a way that she would regret leaving? Are you growing in her absence or grieving what you cannot control? Are you building a life so full of power, depth, and direction that even if she never returns, you've still won? Because here's the truth. You don't lose her by letting her go. You lose her when your need for her outweighs your need to become the man you were born to be. So let her walk. And while she's walking, keep building, keep becoming, keep rising. Build the life that will either call her back stronger or prepare you for someone who never has to leave to see your worth. Number 5, stand still when she runs, when she pulls away, when her messages slow down, when the warmth fades and the distance grows. Your instincts will scream at you to act, to fix, to explain, to chase. But this moment isn't a call to action. It's a call to stillness. Because when she runs, she isn't looking for a man to chase her. She's looking to see if you stay grounded. Most men fail here. Their minds spiral, they panic, they start texting more, trying harder, reaching for something that's slipping. They begin proving themselves again, thinking that more effort equals more worth. But that's not what she wants. She doesn't want proof. She wants presence. And presence isn't felt in performance. It's felt in stillness. When she distances herself, you are being watched. Not just with her eyes, but with her intuition. She's watching for your reaction, for your consistency, for your center. If your whole energy starts shifting the moment she pulls back, if your identity unravels without her, you're not leading. You're following her emotional rhythm. And that kills attraction. Because deep down, what she wants to feel is that your identity is rooted in something deeper than her approval. The man who stays calm, stays focused, stays on mission, that man doesn't spark her fear. He sparks her curiosity. She starts to wonder, why didn't he react? Why didn't he chase? Why didn't he break? And that wondering plants the seed of renewed attraction. Because whether she realizes it or not, she's testing, not to manipulate you, but to feel the truth. And if your peace collapses the moment she pulls away, you were never peaceful. You were addicted to her attention. The man who stands still when she runs, he's rare. Because stillness requires something powerful, self-trust. Stillness doesn't mean apathy. It means depth. It means you don't play emotional ping pong. You don't mirror her withdrawal. You don't join her chaos. You stay centered. You stay steady. You stay real. And that kind of stability, it's magnetic. So how do you master that stillness? You focus on discipline. You build structure into your day. You get uncomfortable on purpose. You stop reacting to her every move, and you start living from your mission. You choose purpose over panic. Every time the urge rises to text her, chase her, explain yourself, you redirect, you train, you reflect, you build. Not for her, for you. Because the version of you that needs her validation is not the version of you that can lead. You need to become the man who walks through silence without fear, who sits in uncertainty without breaking, who waits not passively but powerfully. Because that stillness isn't weakness. It's a signal. It's energy. It's what makes you unforgettable. She's not testing your love. She's testing your emotional leadership. Can you lead when she retreats? Can you hold the line when she panics? Can you embody peace when she explodes? Because that's what her soul is crying out to find. And if you flinch, you fail. If you react, you lose gravity. If you break, she questions everything. So you stand still, you let her run, and you keep moving forward, not toward her, but toward your highest self. Because if she's meant for you, she'll come back, not to the man who chased her, but to the man who never stopped becoming more. Ask yourself this: who are you when no one's watching? Who are you when the person you care about pulls away? Do you collapse, or do you rise even higher? Stand still, not with arrogance, but with assurance, not in silence, but in strength. Let her run, and when she looks back, let her see a man, unmoved, unbothered, and completely unshakable. And in the next chapter, we'll uncover what it truly takes to become the kind of man she can't forget, not because of what you say, but because of the energy you carry when everything else fades. You stood still while she ran, not out of pride, but out of power. And now, as the silence stretches and the tests continue, it's time to show her what kind of man she truly cannot forget. She knows the truth. Most men crumble the moment a woman grows distant. They chase, they beg. They lose themselves trying to hold on to her. But you're not most men. You're not part of the crowd she's used to. You're in a category of your own. You don't break when she pulls away. You don't panic when she stops responding. Why? Because you've already made peace with standing alone. You've married your mission. You've built a life so rich, so full, so grounded that any woman who steps into it feels lucky, not entitled. That's the difference. A man she can shake is the one who collapses the moment she steps back. But a man she can't shake, he becomes sharper, more dangerous, more focused, more magnetic in her absence. And believe this, she feels it. She feels it while she scrolls through your profile, checking if you've posted. She feels it while she wonders why you haven't chased. She feels it while her phone remains silent, and her mind begins to question whether she misread the depth of your power. That's when the shift happens. That's when her emotional testing turns into emotional confusion. Because you broke a pattern. She's used to men folding, to men reacting, to men needing her more than they need themselves. But when you respond with stillness, with purpose, with unwavering presence, without saying a single word, she feels something different, something undeniable. She feels it in her chest, in the silence, in the absence of your need. And in that moment, you stop being just another man. You become the one she can't shake. Not because you tried harder, but because you became more. The man who walks through heartbreak and keeps leading. The man who loses her but gains power. The man who takes pain and sharpens his edge, not softens his standards. So how do you become that man? You start with discipline. You train your body like it's armor. You sharpen your mind like it's a blade. You cut through every excuse that's kept you average. You make silence your training ground. You turn rejection into fuel. You take her pulling away and you turn it into momentum. Every minute you once spent obsessing over her now goes into skill. Every ounce of energy that once powered anxiety now powers your progress. And while she's sitting there wondering why you haven't reached out, you'll be too busy becoming a man she no longer has access to. Because high-value men don't prove their worth with words. They prove it by becoming undeniable, by creating a life so elevated that she has to level up just to stand beside it. That's when the dynamic shifts. That's when her silence begins to haunt her. That's when her curiosity becomes obsession. And most importantly, that's when you stop needing her to choose you. Because you've already chosen the best version of yourself, a version no woman can replace. Because you weren't shaped by her attention, you were forged in solitude. And nothing, absolutely nothing, hits harder than a man who needed no one to become everything. Yes, she may ignore you, even if she loves you, not because she wants to hurt you, but because she needs to know, is your strength real? Or was it just surface level confidence? Because real love, real trust, real feminine surrender, it doesn't form in comfort. It forms in the fire, in uncertainty, in silence, in emotional tension. You might think she's gone cold, that she's lost interest, that someone else is capturing her attention. But sometimes silence isn't abandonment. It's assessment. She's watching, she's weighing. She's wondering, if I stop pouring into him, will he fall apart? If I pull back, will he chase me like the rest? Or will he stand tall, unchanged, like the man he said he was? Because when a woman loves deeply, she wants to give that love somewhere safe. But safety doesn't mean submission. It means leadership. It means strength. It means emotional foundation. She tests you not because she doesn't care, but because she wants to feel safe to care more. Her ignoring you may be the final test before complete devotion. But if you chase, if you beg, if you crumble under pressure, you've answered her question before she ever needed to ask it. You've shown her that she was the foundation of your worth instead of the reward for it. Think about this. If you had a daughter, would you want her to give her heart to a man who needs her constant reassurance just to feel strong? No. You'd want her with the man who doesn't shake, the man who doesn't beg, the man who doesn't need. That's why she ignores you, to see if you're that man. And if you are, she won't forget. She won't drift. She'll feel your silence echoing with value, and she'll return, not because you pulled her in, but because you never pulled away from yourself. That is what makes a man unforgettable. If every word of this felt like it was written for you, it was. Not because we know your face, but because we've walked through the fire with you. We've sat in that silence, stared at that phone, felt that sting of distance, and rebuilt from it. Now it's your turn. But don't walk this path alone. Support this channel, because this isn't just content. It's a mirror that reflects back who you were meant to be. When you support this message, you're not just helping us, you're helping the next man who's still lost in the silence. You're expanding a mission that brings strength back to those who've forgotten their power. So if this shifted something in you, like, comment, and subscribe. But more than that, live it. Take this energy into your next workout, into your business, into your discipline, into every room you enter. Let the world meet the man who doesn't flinch.